They laughed when she walked onto the plane. Not loudly, but enough for her to hear. A teenage girl, maybe 16, clutching a worn backpack and wearing a jacket 3 sizes too big. Her seat was next to mine. 17A. Window side. She didn't look up when I said hello. Just nodded. Eyes red, like she hadn't slept in days. There was something about her, not sadness exactly, but a kind of stillness. The kind you only see in people who've seen too much, too young. I remember asking, softly, "Are you okay?" She smiled, a tiny, polite smile. "Yes, sir. Just tired." But her hands, they were trembling. The plane hadn't even taken off yet, and she kept checking a small, silver pendant around her neck. It was shaped like a falcon, wings spread wide. I thought it was just jewelry. But later, I realized it was everything. As the engines roared and the plane lifted, she pressed her forehead to the window, whispering something I couldn't hear. A prayer, maybe. Or a name. For a while, we sat in silence. The sky was calm. People were settling in, kids crying somewhere in the back, flight attendants moving up the aisle. And then, out of nowhere, the captain's voice came through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're being instructed to hold our course due to unexpected military air traffic in our flight path." Military. Over Kansas. That was unusual. The girl stiffened. Her hand went straight to the pendant. Her lips moved again, barely audible. "No, not now." I glanced at her. "Everything all right?" She didn't answer. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, with eyes that seemed to hold something far older than her age. "Sir, if anything happens, promise me you'll stay calm." That sent a chill through me. "What do you mean?" I asked. But before she could reply, there was a flash of silver outside the window. 2 fighter jets, F-22 Raptors, sliding into formation beside our plane. Gasps filled the cabin. A woman screamed softly. The captain's voice came back, shaky now. Folks, we're being escorted for precautionary reasons. Please remain seated." Everyone was murmuring, panicking, pulling out phones. But I couldn't look away from her. She wasn't scared. Not at all. She just stared at those jets. Calm. Focused. Like she knew them. And then, one of the pilot's voices crackled faintly through the intercom. It wasn't meant for us, but we heard it anyway. "Command, this is Eagle 2. Confirm visual on civilian aircraft Delta 921. Wait, did you just say the name Falcon?" Over. Her head snapped up. I'll never forget the look in her eyes. Shock. Pain. Recognition. I whispered. What did he mean? Why'd he say that? She turned to me, voice breaking. Because Falcon isn't just a name. She swallowed hard, tears glistening. It's who I used to be. And just like that, everything changed. What could a teenage girl possibly mean by that? Who was she really? I didn't know it then, but that flight, and the secret she carried, would change every life on board. Sparkles, what would you do if a stranger beside you revealed something that could change everything? Backhand index pointing right, would you trust them, or be afraid? For a moment, I thought I misheard her. Used to be. What could that even mean? The engines hummed softly beneath our feet, but inside me, everything was spinning. I tried to speak. Falcon? You mean, that's you? She nodded. Slowly. Her eyes never left the window. I wasn't supposed to be here, she whispered. They told me to disappear. Something in her voice made my chest tighten. It wasn't fear, it was regret. Disappear from who? I asked. She hesitated. Then, almost as if she was talking to herself, she said, the same people who trained me. My mind went blank. Trained her? She was just a kid. But before I could ask more, the seatbelt sign blinked. The plane jolted slightly. Passengers gasped, holding onto their armrests. I looked outside again. The fighter jets were still there. Perfectly aligned. Too close. One of them tilted its wing, signaling. The girl's breathing quickened. "They found me," she said softly. "I didn't think they would. Not after what I did." I leaned closer. "What did you do?" Her hand clenched around the Falcon pendant. Her knuckles turned white. "I tried to stop them," she said. "But they didn't listen." She looked at me then, really looked. Eyes wet, voice trembling. "I'm not who they think I am. I'm not who you think I am either." I didn't understand half of what she was saying, but I could feel the weight of her words. Every syllable carried pain. Then the intercom clicked again. "Attention passengers, this is your captain speaking. We've just been contacted by Air Command. They've requested immediate identification of all passengers. Please remain calm while we—" Static. Then silence. The girl exhaled shakily. "They're looking for me." I stared at her. "Why would the Air Force be looking for you?" She hesitated, and whispered, "Because I used to fly with them." I froze. "You're saying—" She nodded, cutting me off. "Not officially. They called me Falcon. I was part of a civilian program. Test missions. AI-assisted drone controls. But when I found out what they were using it for—" She trailed off. Tears filled her eyes. "I leaked it. I couldn't watch innocent people get hurt." The pieces started falling into place. The pendant, the name, the fear in her eyes. She wasn't just running from something. She was running from everyone. And now they'd found her, 30,000 feet in the air, with nowhere to go. The plane shook again. This time harder. People screamed. The captain's voice came through, fast, panicked. "We're experiencing a forced course correction. Everyone stay in your seats." The girl grabbed my arm. "They're going to board us. They think I'm dangerous." I looked at her, heart racing. "Are you?" She didn't answer. Just looked down. Then quietly, "Not to them. Not anymore." Something inside me shifted. I didn't know who she really was, a spy, a runaway, a hero, or something else entirely, but I believed her. Somehow, I believed her. Outside, the jets tightened formation. A voice crackled faintly through the overhead speakers again, this time direct and cold. "Passenger identified as Falcon, respond immediately. You are to surrender yourself without resistance." Every head turned. Every whisper stopped. And there she was, just a girl, sitting by the window, trembling but unbroken. She looked at me, eyes full of quiet resolve. "I won't go back," she said. "Not after what they did." Then she stood up. And for the first time, I saw the scars, thin and faded, along her wrist, like burns. That's when I realized, whatever she had escaped from wasn't just a mission. It was a war. But what happened next, no one could have seen coming. Thought balloon, have you ever been judged for something people didn't understand? Broken heart, if you were her, would you surrender? Or keep running? Red heart, if you've ever felt looked down on, don't forget to like this story. The aisle went silent. Every passenger froze. The words "passenger identified as Falcon" hung heavy in the air, echoing like thunder. No one wanted to believe. I remember watching her, this quiet girl who'd barely spoken a word, standing there, trembling but somehow steady. People started whispering. A man 2 rows ahead said loudly, "Is this some kind of joke?" Another woman clutched her child, pulling her close. The girl looked around, tears threatening to spill. "I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. I reached for her hand. "Sit down, please. Let them talk to the captain. Maybe it's a mistake." But she shook her head. "They won't talk. They'll act." The seatbelt sign blinked again. The plane dipped slightly. A faint tremor rippled through the floor, not turbulence, something else. The captain's voice came back over the speakers. "Passengers, Please remain seated. We're communicating with the escort team. Everything is under control. But his voice cracked halfway through. It wasn't under control. Not even close. The girl, Falcon as they called her, sat down slowly, her fingers trembling around that silver pendant. I shouldn't have gotten on this flight, she murmured. I should have kept running. Her voice broke. But I was tired of running. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to comfort her, but words felt too small, too fragile. So I just asked, quietly, what really happened. She looked down, her lashes wet with tears. They used me. I was a test pilot, not in the air, but on the ground. I controlled drones remotely. I thought we were testing for rescue operations. She paused, her breath catching. Then one day, they sent me into a real mission. I didn't know it until I saw the aftermath on the news. Her hands shook as she whispered, families, children. They called it a malfunction, but I knew the truth. It was my signal, my control. I felt my throat tighten. She was just a kid. She turned to me. I leaked the data, the recordings, everything. But they found me before I could vanish. My guardian helped me escape the base. She looked away. He didn't make it. The silence between us hurt more than words ever could. Outside, one of the jets shifted closer. I could see the pilot now, helmeted, visor down, steady and cold. The intercom clicked. This is Captain Robert Hayes. The Air Command has ordered us to comply with military escort instructions. Falcon, if you can hear me, they're not here to harm you. Please remain calm. Her head snapped up. Hayes, she whispered. Captain Robert Hayes? I frowned. You know him. She nodded slowly, eyes wide. He was part of my unit. Then, almost too quietly to hear, she added, he's the one who taught me to fly. Before I could process that, the overhead speakers buzzed again. Falcon, this is Eagle One. You're ordered to stand down. Repeat, stand down. But the girl's eyes weren't on the sky anymore. They were on the cockpit door. He's not doing this because he wants to, she said. They're making him. Her hands curled into fists. He saved me once. He told me to run. Now they're forcing him to bring me back. I stared at her, heart pounding. How do you know? She looked at me, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Because he called me Falcon. No one else would have said it like that. Then something strange happened. The lights flickered. The captain's voice came back, lower, rushed. Falcon, if you can hear me, don't respond. Just listen. They're overriding controls from command. You have 5 minutes before. Static. Silence. She gasped. They're taking control of the plane. The passengers started to panic. The flight attendants tried to calm them, but fear spread fast, like fire in dry grass. Falcon looked at me, her voice shaking but determined. I can stop it. But I need to get to the cockpit. What? They won't let you near there. She looked me straight in the eye. Sir, if I don't, everyone on this plane could die. Her words hit like a lightning bolt. And for the first time, I saw something in her I hadn't before. Not fear, not guilt. Courage. She unbuckled her seatbelt. The engines roared louder, the plane trembling as the autopilot shifted. Passengers were shouting now, terrified. But all I could do was watch as that quiet girl from seat 17A, the one who'd been hiding from the world, stood up to face it. She whispered, "It's time I stop running." Then she stepped into the aisle, toward the cockpit. And in that moment, I had no idea if she was walking into salvation, or straight into her end. Thought balloon, would you trust her if you were on that plane? Fire, would you let her try, knowing she might be the only one who could save you? The cabin was chaos. Crying. Shouting. Fear spreading like wildfire. And there she was, This trembling girl with quiet eyes, walking straight toward the cockpit. Every step she took felt heavier than the last. The flight attendants tried to stop her. "Miss, you can't go up there." She didn't even look at them. Her voice came out soft but steady. "I have to." Something in her tone made even the attendants hesitate. It wasn't defiance. It was purpose. I stood up too. "Wait. Let me come with you." She turned slightly, eyes filled with something between fear and gratitude. "If I don't come back," she said, "tell them I wasn't a mistake." Before I could reply, she was already moving forward. The plane jolted again. Oxygen masks dropped. Someone screamed. The overhead lights flickered, then dimmed. The intercom crackled with static, then a deep, distorted voice broke through. "Captain Hayes, you are ordered to initiate override sequence Delta 9. Engage immediate landing protocol." Landing protocol? We were 30,000 feet in the air. The girl froze mid-step. "No, they're trying to force a descent. They'll take us down anywhere they can control the landing." Her breathing quickened. "That'll kill us all." I could hear it now too, the faint metallic whine of the engines straining, the unnatural dip in altitude. "Falcon," I said, "what can you do?" She looked at me. "If I can reach Hayes, I can stop it." She rushed forward, steadying herself as the plane tilted. The attendants didn't stop her this time. Maybe they saw what I did, that this girl wasn't here to hurt anyone. She was here to save them. The door to the cockpit was locked, of course. But she knelt beside it, pressing her ear against the metal, whispering, "Hayes, it's me." No answer. Then, through the speaker above, came a voice, faint but clear. "Falcon, I told you to stay gone." Her eyes filled instantly. "Then why did you call my name?" A pause. Then his voice, shaking, "Because they've got control of my systems. They're using my plane. You have to cut the feed." "What feed?" I asked. She pointed upward. "The satellite uplink. They're controlling him remotely through air command." Then she whispered, half to herself, "I know how to stop it." She reached into her backpack and pulled out a small, battered laptop, its screen cracked, stickers peeling. "This is how I ran. I built a signal scrambler. If I can sync it with the cockpit system, I can break their control." I stared at her. "You built that?" She nodded. "I had to. They were tracking me through every connection I touched." She connected a cable to the emergency panel near the cockpit door. Sparks flickered. The plane jolted again, worse this time. Then Hayes' voice cut through, urgent and raw. "They're initiating full override. You've got 30 seconds before they seize engine control." She typed faster. Her hands trembled but never stopped. "I can do this," she whispered. "I just need." The laptop beeped. A red warning flashed. "Unauthorized access detected." "They found me," she said. "They're trying to counter it." Then a second voice, cold, mechanical, filled the speakers. "Falcon, stand down. You cannot escape this time." Her breath caught. I'd never seen someone so young look so broken. Then, she did something I'll never forget. She smiled, faintly, through tears. "You'll never take me back." Her fingers flew over the keys. The plane shuddered violently. For a moment, everything went dark. Then, silence. The engines leveled. The cabin steadied. The flickering lights came back to life. And Hayes' voice, shaking with relief. "Falcon, you did it. You cut the feed." A ripple of gasps and sobs spread through the cabin. Some passengers began clapping, hesitantly at first, then louder. But Falcon didn't move. She just leaned against the cockpit door, breathing heavily, eyes wet. Then Hayes spoke again, voice breaking. "They'll trace the breach back to you. You don't have long before." Static drowned the rest out. Falcon turned to me, her face pale. I stopped the override, but now they know exactly where I am. My stomach dropped. You mean they'll send someone? Then her laptop screen blinked again. One final message appeared, glowing faintly. Target reacquired. Operation Falcon retrieval in progress. The color drained from her face. They're not giving up, she whispered. Not until I'm gone for good. And then, she fainted. Right there beside the cockpit door, the girl who just saved us all, collapsed, whispering a name I could barely hear. Hayes. The plane was safe. But she wasn't. Thought balloon, would you risk your life to save the same people who once betrayed you? Red heart, if you believe courage doesn't depend on age, tap that heart. When she fell, I thought it was over. The girl in seat 17A, the one they called Falcon, lay motionless beside the cockpit door, her laptop still glowing faintly beside her. For a moment, no one moved. The entire cabin was frozen between fear and disbelief. Then I knelt down beside her. Hey, stay with me, I whispered, shaking her shoulder gently. Her eyes fluttered open, weak, unfocused. Did we make it? Yes, I said, my voice trembling. You saved us. A faint smile crossed her lips. Good. Then it was worth it. The captain's voice crackled through the speakers again. This is Hayes. We're stabilizing altitude. Everyone remain calm. We'll be landing shortly. The passengers erupted into cheers and sobs. But I couldn't celebrate. Not yet. Falcon's pulse was fading. Her skin felt cold. I took off my jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. You're gonna be okay, I said, trying to sound certain. She gave a small, broken laugh. You don't even know who I am. I looked at her. I don't need to. I know what you did. Tears filled her eyes. They'll never let me live after this. The radio buzzed again, faintly, as if her name summoned it. Command to Eagle 1, confirm retrieval target alive. Then Hayes' voice, low, defiant, came back. Negative. She's not your target anymore. There was a pause. Repeat, Eagle 1. Hayes' tone sharpened. You heard me. She's my responsibility now. And if you come for her, you'll have to go through me. The cabin went silent again. Even the air felt different. Falcon's lips trembled. He's protecting me. I nodded. Looks like it. She closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. He always said I could change things if I just stopped being afraid. Her breathing steadied, slow and shallow. I held her hand, and for the first time since she boarded, she looked peaceful. Outside the window, the two F-22s broke formation, peeling away into the clouds. Hayes' voice came through again, softer this time. Falcon, you did good. I'm proud of you, kid. She smiled faintly. You never called me that before. Guess I was saving it for the day you saved my life, he said. A weak laugh escaped her lips, half sob, half relief. Then she looked at me and whispered, tell them I wasn't the enemy. I squeezed her hand tighter. You can tell them yourself when we land. But she just closed her eyes, whispering something under her breath. Maybe a prayer, maybe a promise. Minutes later, the plane touched down. Smooth. Safe. The passengers erupted into applause again, some crying openly. Paramedics rushed aboard. They carried her gently down the aisle, oxygen mask over her face, laptop still clutched in her hand like it was a part of her. As they passed me, she opened her eyes just a little. Thank you, she murmured. I smiled through tears. For what? For believing me, when no one else did. And then she was gone, carried out into the blinding daylight, surrounded by people who would never know her name, only her courage. It's been months since that flight. I still think about her, the quiet girl who sat by the window, trembling, hiding behind a pendant shaped like a falcon. The news said she was placed under protection. Some called her a traitor. Others, a hero. But me. I just remember a scared teenager who chose to save everyone instead of saving herself. Sometimes when I look up at the sky and hear the faint echo of a jet engine, I imagine she's out there again, free, alive, flying under a new name. Because heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they just sit quietly in seat 17A. Sparkles, every person has a story worth respect. Thought balloon, what would you have done differently if you were in her place? Speech balloon, share your thoughts below.